physical training, drills, inspections. Recruiting films from 1942 flash scenes of life in the South Carolina Corps of Cadets. The Citadel's films were played at schools and theaters to promote the value of a military college education, just as America was fully engaging in World War II. But cadets who were sophomores at the time of the filming were about to have their college careers interrupted in dramatic fashion.
It was the honor code of the Citadel, and I think that stands out more than any single thing about life at the Citadel.
On the 70th anniversary of what would have been his graduation year, Timothy Street reminisces with his wife Aggie about his class at the Citadel, the class of 1944, which eventually became known as the class that never was.
It's the truth in the sense that we never had graduations, we never had ring ceremonies, we never had any of the particulars that go with being a senior at the Citadel, any of the privileges that go with being a senior at the Citadel. So as a result, I don't think that the label of the class that never was is altogether that inaccurate.
Street recalls his friends from the class of 1944's golf team. Street was also on the hop committee, which planned hops or dances, highly anticipated opportunities for the Corps to interact with young women. But he didn't plan graduation events or even a ring ceremony.
We got special dispensation to receive the ring before we left for the Army.
Street and his classmates didn't make it to their senior year. With a critical war need for junior officers and second lieutenants, the federal government called Street's entire class to war in the summer of their junior year, with the exception of 3 who couldn't serve. According to Street, it happened despite a formal objection by the college's president, General Charles P. Summerall, who felt the cadets would make better soldiers after they finished their entire military education.
Unfortunately, General Summerall's word and request that we stay at the Citadel for the final year was denied. And he was sort of indignant about that, which he should have been. We marched from the Citadel campus to up on UG Street and boarded trains there and went directly to Fort Jackson in Columbia, where we were sworn in as privates, and they were sent to Europe almost instantly, and they had terrible tough times because they were all of the youngest grade of officer, and they had the roughest duty, and we had, as a class, had more fatalities than any other class at the Citadel.
Street was sent to Fort Eustis for anti-aircraft artillery training with several other cadets.
We considered that the basic training that we got at Fort Eustis was far inferior to what we would have gained by staying at the Citadel for our final year. We had graduated from basic training, but they didn't know what to do with it. So would you believe they sent us back to the Citadel.
He and the other newly commissioned officers were frustrated after being enrolled in freshman engineering classes. But soon they were dispatched to posts throughout the World War II arena. Street ended up with the Navy in the Philippines. He was there for about a year, eventually returning home to Charleston and the Citadel, where he reconnected with some of his former classmates.
The campus was alive with veteran students because it really was just too good a deal to turn down in the sense that they gave you a place to live, they gave you something to eat, and they gave you spending money, and who could beat that? I mean, it was a very, very big invitation.
But 26 members of the class of 1944 were not able to answer that invitation. They were killed in action.
I don't think you can emphasize too much the sacrifices that those people made. So many of our classmates did so much more than I did. I feel nothing but a huge, huge helping of humility when I think about what happened to me. What kind of sympathy could you even utter that would repay somebody for a sacrifice like that? And I never was exposed to anything like that. And I just think about these people that were either in combat or died from combat, that I just don't think there's enough that we can say.
Street credits one man with keeping their class united and with keeping them from being forgotten. His friend of 70 years and former classmate, Dr. Robert Adden, who became a longtime Citadel professor and department head after he was wounded in the war.
Oh, maybe 10 or 15 years later, at one of our reunions that we were there at the Citadel, he had arranged for those who had in fact graduated to receive diplomas. And I have mine upstairs, and it was very nice to have. However, it was about 10 or 15 years late.
And Timothy Street credits his granddaughter, Gervais, with bringing his story full circle because he was recently able to hand her her diploma at her graduation from the Citadel Graduate College. More than 6,000 men from the Citadel served during World War II, and close to 300 of them were killed. But it was the class that never was, that was caught in the middle like none other, the class that some now call the class that will live forever.